Okay, here we go. Well, as close to on time as I've been in a minute. So thank you all for your patience. Oh yeah, this is my music in the background. Have any of you guys heard this old album? I can see you all, by the way. Really well. I'm just going to put you on gallery for a second. Do you guys, any of you heard this album that's playing in the background? Can you raise your hands if you've heard it? Nobody. No. Okay, this is one of my, is it my first album? I haven't released it. I'm going to actually be releasing a lot of this old stuff, and I'll make sure that you guys get to hear it first before it's like put out anywhere. But this is, I'm trying to think which one this one is. Oh, this is the one I did in New York on Paul Simon's ADAT system that I ended up buying, and it had Paul Simon's. I worked with his engineer at my, he was in my building, and I ended up buying Paul Simon's studio equipment. His ADAT back then, before computers, it was like a way of tracking music that was digital, but also kind of like a tape. Anyway, I'll pause this. This is some songs I haven't actually played for you guys. I don't know why. I think maybe for some of you have recognized them, but that is from one of my, I don't know, 2001 maybe? 2001? I hear, it's so interesting. I hear the young Paul's voice, and it's so different. It's so raw and excited and not technical, but the passion kind of overcomes any pitch or any other issues. Like, it's so interesting. Like, you hear early Bono and early U2 or early Dylan, and they're a bit squirrely at the beginning, but it's like, that's kind of what makes it awesome. Is the like the foolhardy dive into trusting that this is just like an exciting ride rather than trying to get it right. You're just like, let's let it rip. And I think that's what you do in your 20s. So I'm already started. This is a podcast. I'm going to include all of this, but I'm on Zoom with my Patreon community. I can see their beautiful faces. I see Neva. I see Lindy. I see Margarita, Judy, George, Yvonne, Tracy, Jeanette, Kelly, Timmy, Tammy, Christine, Judy. I won't name everybody from now on. I don't know. I just got myself into a world of hurt there. Paul is here. And if you guys want me to see you or get to know you, got to put your camera on, because otherwise it's just like Facebook or YouTube where I see your name and not your face. But, just keep your clothes on and stuff like that. The usual Zoom etiquette, unless you're a TV reporter and you forget to turn your camera off. So this is The Grass is Greener Live. I'm going to be doing a version of this. I have every Friday, I'm going to invite different guests. Depends on the week, who's around, or I'll just be doing solo sods depending. Some will be shorter, like 30 minutes if they're solo, or they'll be a little bit longer if they're Q&A style. And then we'll take a 5-minute break. I'll grab a drink. We'll come back. I'll switch out to this microphone, which is the singing microphone. And I'll be able to sing with you guys here, seeing your requests right there in the chat. And it'll be more intimate rather than out there in the world on Facebook and Instagram. And you guys, you are all my most active and supportive and special out there anyway. And I just wanted to make you guys feel seen and appreciated, like in an intimate setting like this. So that's what this is about. And as far as I know, we'll see how it goes, but I'm most likely just going to keep my Fridays in some form. It might evolve, like I'll bring my brother on. I invited him tonight, by the way. So we might make one of them a Greene Brothers where I'm playing music and he's painting, which is super fun for some people. But I'm also open to your feedback on perhaps what you all would like to see a little bit more of along the way here too. So what I have is a list of your questions, and I love questions. Like as a coach, which is my other kind of day job, I guess, is the better I get at coaching, the less I talk and the better questions I ask. And that's something I'm learning the painful way, because I get excited and I can see the solution. So I try to fix it just like a man does. And then I'm like, after I'm blabbing my head off, I'm like, remember, you're coaching, just ask questions, because if they don't get it from inside, they're never going to change. And like if you're trying to change your kids or your spouse by your nagging at them, or you're trying to show them the way, they will never, ever, ever change. Change has to come from the inside, or from somebody asking you a question, and because if you get the epiphany, that's when real change can happen. But very rarely is it like, that's why people go to church or whatever and they're just talked at all the time and they don't change. Because change is very, very rarely instructional. It comes from much more from intuition, from inside, from being asked the right questions. And that's what a good coach does, is finds propelling questions to bring the door open. So I'm going to read your questions from tonight. And I think they're compiled. And can I see, where's the chat here? How come I can't read your chat? Where the chat at? Where the chat at? There's Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Jennifer. Hi, Paula. Debbie. Okay. Where the Smurf did I put all of your questions? I can't find them. I'm not sharing my music anymore. I stopped to share, didn't I? Yep. Okay, good. There's Sue. Hi, Sue. Hello, Sue. Sue's on a skateboard, it looked like there for a second. She's just like, woo! And the sound for musicians should be on, so you guys should be able to hear me loud and smurfy. Okay, I feel like the camera's really up my grill. I want to back it up just a little bit. But George, it's good to see you, bud. Now you're going to see the edge of that, but I think that it still came back at me, and now it sees the mirror. I don't want the mirror either. It's just blue, tangled up in blue. Okay, I'm going to hold this. No, I'm not. This is the right arm really for podcasting, but it takes too long to swap it out, so I'm going to lean in like this and share with you guys. I like hearing podcasts that are recorded right up like this in your grill. Don't you guys? Don't you guys like driving? It's once you start hearing a really good, like there's Modern Wisdom's a really deep one, Jordan Peterson. There's a few out there where you hear them. I guess Joe, what's his name? Just the most popular podcast in the world, Joe, that guy. His podcast sounds really good too. 25. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to crack open some questions. I'm also trying to figure out how to open up the chat, which doesn't seem to want to open for me for some reason. Why is my chat? Oh, there we go. Flip turds. Nope. There it is. Breathy. Green Bro session. Okay, good. I can see your chat or your text or your conversations. Your chat. Judy is from Maple, Washington. Okay, cool. So I just thank you guys for being a part of my community, my Patreon community, and I'm going to be posting more frequently in there, and we're just going to try to make that like a really special place for you guys to meet, and also find some really. I'm going to share some old posts and some behind the scenes from movies and things that are pretty interesting, so you guys will get some insights into some things that you've never seen before. Okay, where are my questions? I'm in my emails, but I just don't see them. Did you say? I don't. Okay, there we go. Whew. First, there's a lot of... Oh, Malice, look at all the Patreon members that joined right after. Wow, we're having quite a big day for Patreon. First question I see is Kate. If you could choose to perform with one other artist... Oh, people have asked me this before, whether film or TV, but you can only choose one. Which would it be? This is from Boston Kate, I think. Yeah, looks like her headshot there. With who and why? Man, it goes for me right... I'd love to spend an afternoon with Leonard Cohen and just play music, but he's not alive. And why is because he's had such an influence on me, and I love his lyrics and I love his story, and he's such a poet, but he's also a Zen monk. So he has that Alan Watts approach of things, which I kind of like, which is like, your quality of your life is what you make things mean. There's that empty and meaningless kind of conversation that I find really interesting, which is just like something happened. Basically, the Chinese farmer reminds me of Leonard Cohen as well as it does Alan Watts. But so probably Leonard Cohen. I feel like, Chris Stapleton's wife would be really fun to sing with, because her harmonies just absolutely blow my mind. Like, as a woman, she kind of is like June Carter, but even more interesting. That would be a really great experience. But like, as actors, I can't even think of an actor that I would just like. There's actors I'd love to work. I worked with Kathy Bates. The cool thing about actors, that the bigger they are, the more relaxed they usually are, and the better you are. It's just like playing tennis. If you play tennis against a really great tennis player, you will be so much better than you were if you played against somebody who's new. And the same goes for acting. Yeah, because you just rise to the level of who they are and who they bring out the best in you. So, trying to think, there was an actor recently that I saw and I was like, oh, that would be really fun to work with him. It'll come back to me. I mean, I'd love to work with Quentin Tarantino in some ways, except for I've heard his sets are pretty intimidating, but also really cool. Christoph Waltz is somebody I'd like to kind of be in a scene with, but I heard he just does his lines over and over and over again until he gets the thing right, which is not the way I work. I work much more off the other actor and in the moment. So yeah, thanks. That's a great question, Kate. Sorry, I don't have more clear answer for anybody that's alive. There's not like, I mean, oh, you know who? Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother. I would love to sit down with Phineas and like understand how he makes those sounds and those beats, and how him and Billie come up. And I actually met Phineas Eilish at the premiere of my Fit for Christmas movie I did with Amanda Klutz. And what was so cool, because one of her neighbors is Zach Braff. And Zach Braff is my like spirit animal when it comes to the type of movie I would like to write, direct, and create and have the music for, which is Garden State. And I actually worked with Zach Braff. He was directed a commercial I did on the Paramount lot maybe 15 years ago or 12 years ago or something for a Jeep or something. But Phineas was there because during the pandemic, when Amanda Klutz lost her husband Nick to COVID, Phineas was one of the million people following the story, and he wrote a song for Amanda and showed up and sent her a DM. It's like, I hope you like the song, and she never read it. And he was like, oh man, maybe it offended her. So he knew Zach Braff and reached out to him, and Zach knew Amanda, and Zach's like, check your DMs because Phineas wrote you a song. Made her cry. Obviously it's super touching, but he showed up in like a bus in front of her house with his keyboard and a band and pulled up on either the anniversary of Nick's death and played that song for her. Phineas did. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, but Billie Eilish, her brother, he's responsible for the sound, and he's just a genius. I watch interviews with him and the way he talks about microphones, and like, it's right up my alley. So there's your answer, Kate. I think Phineas would be so interesting. There's some of these questions are actually they're like, is it music or is it acting? And for some of the questions, it's definitely acting, and other ones it's music. It's kind of interesting which way my preferences go. George Garcia says, where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years from now? Any new projects in the horizon? Yeah. So my overly ambitious goal is to release a new album every year. I could do it if I could organize my time a little better. I think one of my biggest challenges that I face is putting time in my calendar and showing up just because it's an appointment with myself. Like I feel like I really enjoy my life, but it's not very structured. And I feel like where I need to go, especially as a coach and as an actor and as a musician, and just for my age, I feel like I need to develop a bit more of a relationship with my calendar and with time, and be like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm writing music. From this time to this time, I'm designing parts for our program. So like, and then just know myself in a way that shows up and does that, because I'm really great that way with my body and with my son, but it's all kind of in flow. I'm a very like flow state type of a creator, not like not time based. But 5 to 10 years from now, I'd love to be on a show here in LA that's a comedy where music's involved, where it's half hour like sitcom, but deeper, not just a silly sitcom, like the sitcom funny, but also just a great lesson in every episode, and be able to come home every single day and be with my family. And they have a 3.5 hour work week. Believe it or not, there's like a table read, rehearsal, another little half day rehearsal, then a live taping, and then there's like one other half day in there for like wardrobe for the next week or something. It's my friend Oliver, a couple of my friends have been on sitcoms, and they're like, the schedule is like the best for a family. So, and then musically, yeah, George, just continue to pump out songs and hope one or two of them gets on a TV show or a movie, and then get that the exposure from that would create a bit more of an audience for me. And then I wouldn't want to tour, though. I wouldn't want to be in hotels, and I don't mind playing. Like, I do have a goal to play the Hollywood Bowl at some point. That would be a big bucket list thing, building my fan base up in the next 5 years, where in 5 years from now I'm standing on Hollywood Bowl and playing my style of songs. And I feel like I'm still finding my sound. Like, it's a little bit country, but it's a little bit Americana, and I it's like I feel like and I think everyone's sound changes a lot as they grow and mature. But that's where I see myself: music and still acting, and prefer, and as well, the third leg is, of course, the coaching on Freedom Alchemist, and how that company impacting, hundreds of thousands of people in ways that I can't figure out yet. Kelly Brassington, thanks, George. It's good to see you too. Kelly Brassington, what is the main thing you want your boys to remember you for? Fun, no question. Fun and love. Vitamin F and vitamin L. More than like wisdom and patience and whatever, because I feel like if they know how to have fun, and they'll feel like they won't be stressed or in fight or flight if they can see their dad's always having fun. And luckily, that's kind of my North Star anyway, is fun and enjoyment. I find ways to enjoy even kind of mundane things. So definitely that's a no-brainer. Fun and love, and I hope music. Maybe someday they'll watch all of these goofy movies somewhere in some weird time capsule of, I don't know how they'll watch them, but it'll be like projected in their VR or there's something. I don't know how the next generation is going to view content. It's going to be interesting. It'll probably be like speak it, and then AI creates it, and then they watch what they speak, and like because you can prompt it already to make video. Jeanette Lemon says, Grandma Lemon says, my husband was a backpacker through many countries. There was only one he said he never wanted to visit again. I think that you told me you've been to 33 countries. It's something like that. Is there one you don't care to visit again? Which did you enjoy the most? Oh, that's a great question. Which one I not want to go back to? Like, I'm trying to think which country, when I got there, was it just like, oh, Bali was, believe it or not, we're going back. But my trip to Bali was pretty challenging. I felt like just the art and the statues and the gods and some of the darker ones, because they have a lot of like Kali, and in the Hindu religion there, they have a lot of visual representations of different gods, and some of them kind of spooked me a little bit. But I was in like a bit of a wild space, kind of going between two relationships when I was visiting there, so that was just a bit of a challenging. It's much more representative of what I was going through at the time, more so than like the country, right? I have this weird thing, no matter what country I land in, I feel like I've been there forever. Like, in that Bali was one of the only times where I was like, this feels strange. Like, I don't feel welcome. I feel like, but the next time I went to Bali, it was phenomenal. So it was the place I was at in my life. Yeah. And which place did I enjoy the most? Man, that's really hard for me, because I've really enjoyed most of, like, when I went to Scandinavia, though, to be honest, like Denmark and Sweden, I just loved the design and the people and the little Swedish candies, like the 5 crown or guild or whatever they were called at the time, little candies. Now they're euro. In the European Union? I think so. So the Scandinavia, and I'm Norwegian, I still haven't been to Norway. So when I get up there, there's something about the way they do their architecture and their food and their just their car, everything about the people and their dress, the way they dress, and the restaurants and the furniture, everything I just feel relaxed, because I think it's minimal and quite zen. So there's something about that and obviously my ancestors are from there. So yeah, thanks, Jennifer, Jeanette, Jennifer, Jeanette. Grandma Lemon is easier. You have been granted 3 wishes. What would they be? You have been granted 3 wishes. What would they be? Okay. Oh, man. That's a tough one. All these ones that like world peace in that is like at what cost? Like you can't just have world peace without there being like some insane force of power enforcing world peace. Like someone said that to me before. They're like, you think you want world peace, but then you got to go at what cost? Because in order for everyone to be peaceful, there's like they have to be peacefully like it's servant to something. Like so there's like it's a very dark perspective on that. And I think you can have peace without an authoritarian figure telling you what to do, but that's the dystopian view of world peace. It's like there's like a communist force telling everybody what to do. But yeah, 3 wishes. My dad could spend time with my boys. That would be one. Because he knew Ollie till they 5 or 6, and of course Austin and Kate. He hasn't met Kate, which would be, I think they would love each other. I think they'd get on pretty cool. So that's one wish. I wish that I was incredible with time management. I feel like if I could completely be a master of time, that I'd be unstoppable in terms of what I accomplished. So able to design a system that allows me to do what I say when I say I will do it. And like I said, I haphazardly get a lot done. Like I have 3 projects. Oh, sorry, that was George. There's 3 projects I produced last year. Idlewild, Topanga, and We Woke, where I'm the lead, and we're just trying to sell them, and they're funny, and they're pilots. And I'll probably, with you guys, my community, I'll share some. I'll post the teasers and the trailers, and then of course the film I directed, Love Her Madly. So somehow I get a lot done, but I think I get a lot more done if I could actually be more in the pocket and the driver's seat of time rather than just kind of just surfing the waves. But maybe I'm just a wave surfer. I don't know. And then the third wish would be this is a hard one. I mean, I've always thought about wanting to fly, but that seems very childish. But I fly airplanes, but I'm not able to fly like lift off the ground. In my dreams I do, though. It's been a while since I've had a good flying dream, though. I wish I had is that people would listen to one another without cutting them off and separating into like left or right or these camps of politics or religion. And I wish people would just listen and try to understand that people, where they're coming from, rather than just hate somebody if they're different than you or a different color or immigrants or something. And we're all immigrants. Like, tell me one person that's really from here, except for even the First Nations have visited, came from somewhere. So that would be my third wish, that there would be more peace. Like, I feel like humans have always killed each other for land and titles and women and, you know, treaties and gold or whatever. Religion mostly, I would say. If you look at the amount of death caused by different religions over the years, it's probably ahead of even land. And so that drives me batty. Like, that drives me absolutely sideways, that people kill in the name of God. Whether it's the Inquisitions or like intifadas or anything like any of those things where you're just like, you think that it's human life is worth less than some thing that God told someone to do. Like, that drives me nuts. And you look at history and it is in every chapter. holy wars or unholy wars or religious, whether it's Ireland and the other parts of the UK, or the Iran, or it's the way that China was divided, like in all the different dynasties, is just batty. There's a really cool podcast that is called Hardcore History by Dan Carlin. And if you like history, he researches something like 5 days straight for one podcast, but his podcasts are like 6 hours long, and each one is literally like an audiobook. And it's so interesting the way that he talks about the Wrath of Khan, and just some of these dynasties and some of these, like Genghis Khan, and how many children he's had and how many wives and how many deaths he's responsible for, makes the Holocaust look tiny compared to what Genghis Khan did. And Hardcore History is a really cool, the guy, he does a lot of research, and I love looking at history to help me understand a little bit more about what I'm doing. And hopefully we would learn from it and not just keep repeating it and killing people or hurting people or separating ourselves from people that are different than us. Rather than going, what can I learn, instead of how can I change you to be more like me, which I think is just ridiculous and silly. Okay, next question. I don't know why I went on that tangent, but those are my 3 wishes. Yeah, thanks, Tammy. I want you guys to put in the chat one of your wishes. Just put it in the chat so I can see it. Like, if you could be granted any wish, just put that in the chat for me, and I'll read out a couple of them. If you could be granted any wish, what would it be? Oh, I just about made the wrong accent. And I'm not making fun of anyone with that accent. I love all people. Remember? Just 5 minutes ago, I said that. Job related. This is from Lindy. What am I the most proud of? I guess the short that I wrote and directed, because it was a process where I wrote it, the script, directed it, shot it in Paris at Van Morrison's grave, directed an actress. She was nominated for Best Actress at Cannes Film Festival. Kate was, from Love Her Madly. Some of you have seen it, right? I showed it to my Patreon, or to some of you, right? Yeah, just to the inner circle. I think I showed it. Yeah. I think I'm super proud of that. I think that one's, and then, got it into a bunch of festivals. It won a bunch of awards, which is a bit of a racket because you just pay and then you just keep paying, and then someone nominates it, so you'll keep paying them. I think the award circuit's kind of corrupt. I mean, certainly is corrupt. But everyone's applying. I'm sure it wouldn't have won if it wasn't good. So it won a bunch of stuff. So that's it, Lindy, I would say. And then musically, I'd say Carnegie Hall was probably one of the most things I'm proud of, just in terms of who I got to be on stage and perform there, and just the way my wits were about me, like how comfortable I felt under, I guess, what could be big pressure, but I learned there not to make it about myself. Anytime I perform, I'm trying to go, what experience do I want the audience to have, rather than, do I look good? I hope that they think I'm good or talented or something. If you're in that space as a performer, you're dead. You're dead, and you get nervous and you get really tight, and your instrument is a little bit diminished and demented because you're just trying to morph and please everybody rather than just be yourself, and in some ways just let the audience know that they're in good hands and that they're going to be taken on a bit of an adventure. Like, that's always my goal, is rather than looking good, is to, how do I make sure that the audience leaves touched, moved, and inspired in some way? And that's why my concerts, I feel like I, throughout them, am sharing little bits of this or that about my own life, or about stories, or sometimes jokes, but then at the end I go on a bit of a whip of something. So yeah. That's how I survived Carnegie Hall. My throat was hurting. I called my vocal teacher at the time. She was in Nashville, and she said, "You're making it about you. That's why your voice is tight." That's a normal thing with performers. When they're making it all about themselves, their voice is shut down. And I was like, gosh, I know this stuff. And I still was doing it. And it's sneaky. The higher the stakes, the higher the, I guess, pressure you put to be great or something. Is there a job or a gig you regret accepting? I don't know. And by the way, guys, I'm almost out of these questions, so feel free to put a few more in the chat there if you have something's coming up, because we're oh, is it already 5? Oh, we're good. No, we're good. I think I have another 15 minutes, and then we'll take a little break, and then I'll play some music. I wish I could put music on the podcast, but everywhere I've looked, I don't think it's possible, at least not on through all the Apple ones. But maybe in this format, I would be able to, if I started with the podcast and then went into music. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Is there any job gig you regret accepting? McDonald's for 2 weeks when I was 15. That was the worst 2 weeks. That was awful. Oh man, that was just a dumpster dive of emotion. I am not capable of repetitive tasks, even at that age. They're like, you take the fish thing and you put it in the deep fryer, and then you take it out of the fish thing and you put it on the thing. And I'm like, that's it? Like, that's what you want me to do for 8 hours? I did it, and then the next day I came and did it again. I was like, what? That's it. Like, that's what we're doing here with my life. And then the next day happened. I was like, no. I felt like one of those dreams where someone else is filming it, and it's not. You're wondering what lens they're using because everything is so twisted and like freaky. That's what my 2 weeks at McDonald's. That's the only gig I regret accepting. I mean, Bitten was no regrets, but it was awkward because all the people in Canada see my butt, and then which is unfortunate because all my family is in Canada. And if they got the Space Network, and then it ended up on HBO or something, or Stars, I think Stars. I think it ended up on HBO in Canada too. But anyway, it's that was a little embarrassing. It's because there's a couple of love scenes where you see my butt. In ironically, in the country where it matters, is Canada, they show it, and here they don't. Here it wouldn't matter so much, but all my relatives and cousins and stuff like that. I saw your butt. Like, okay, let's talk about Jesus. Let's talk about something else. What is a significant change you've seen in the movie music industry over the years? This is from Timmy. Obviously, just the digitization of everything, and some people complain about it, but I think it's awesome. Think of how many people get to hear music. Like, yeah, they don't pay a lot for the streamers or whatever, but think of how many people, like in the past, they would have to buy your CD in order to hear your music. Now they can accidentally hear it here on a show or on a YouTube thing or on a tweet or on an Instagram reel or whatever. There's so many ways to have your music heard. So it's infinite, the amount of distribution because of digital. And AI is going to change things a little bit too, but I'm an optimist about all this stuff. I think there going to be some jobs lost, but there will also be some other things created that'll be really cool. All the jobs that humans don't like doing will be gone, but that'll free up some of the creatives that are trapped in factory work too, or in the work that's redundant, will be made redundant and repetitive because of that. But that's been a big shift, is the amount of opportunity when I first came to LA to now is 100 to 1. Like when I came out here, there's commercials, and now commercials are gone. For SAG, there's a couple a year, and the rest are non-union, so they're paying people like $300 off of their Instagram to do commercials. So the business has changed. That's why this last strike was so important, because AI could write a script, basically. And the changes with technology, but like it's just technology changes things. Just like moving from those old cameras to like a smaller camera. Like technology, most of the time, is for the better. And it's painful when it happens because people lose jobs, but it's like you have to innovate quickly and technology speeding up so fast that our heads are going to spin 5 years from now. What's coming? Mary says, could all the recent difficulties in streaming this year have contributed to your decision to simplify your Friday concert just on Zoom and add more grass is greener? I know it's been frustrating. No, actually. You think there's been more difficulties than past years? I think it's been getting better. Maybe I'm just there's the odd time where I'll do the same thing, and then it's like a gremlin where I'm like, the last time I did this, it worked fine. But overall, no. I just wanted to honor my Patreon. And, I love doing my Friday concerts out there, and the Facebook ones over time, some of them get reach on some of them is crazy how many people see them. So, it's a sacrifice, because between all of those social media, it's like very important for me to keep putting out social media and media in general. So it's a bit of a sacrifice in terms of exposure, but then I really wanted to like build this up and connect with you guys in a more intimate way. And so that's more about that. The technical difficulties, there's as many that could go wrong for this as there is for that, except for one button, which is going live, which isn't usually the breaking point. It's usually something audio-wise. Tracy Spalding, how often are you recognized in public? Oh, this is funny. What is the craziest encounter with a fan that you have had? So depends where I'm at. If I go south or to Texas or Carolinas or Florida, I'm recognized at the airport, or even Jersey, anywhere East Coast and South. But anywhere out here, no, almost never. The odd time, I think I was in a wine store a month ago, and they're like, "Oh, you're on When Goes the Heart." And very rarely do people say that. They usually say, "Yeah, I recognize you from somewhere, a movie or something." Craziest encounter with a fan you've ever had. It's probably in England, when a group of kids came up to me and thought I was David Beckham, and I signed autographs as Beckham. I didn't have the heart to tell them. This was 15 years ago. I was quite young. I was a similar age to him. I'm similar age to him. And I guess at that age, we looked close enough that those girls wanted to believe their fantasy that I was Beckham, and I didn't have the heart to tell them that it wasn't me. So I just signed D on a bunch of their things, like DB on, I think it was just D or DB, like D with a squiggle on all of their little things they handed me. And then I like dipped out of there because I was like, I hope nobody saw that. That's my David Beckham, and that was right in the middle of the square, Leicester Square, I think it's called. And there was a guy playing music there. I never got a chance to busk there, which I would have loved. There's a bunch of places I'd like to busk. It'd be fun. All right, thank you guys for those great questions. They really make me think. It's good to see you. I see we got Bettina here, and Kate. Did you catch the question? I answered your question earlier, Kate. Yeah, good. I didn't see you, so there you are. Though Vasiliki's here. Hi, Vasiliki. Hi. Awesome. Terry's here. Judy's here. Amazing. There's Yvonne. Okay, great. Let me just see if there's. I'm still petitioning. Oh, I'll reach out to Spencer. Yeah, I forgot. He should come next week. I'll see what he's doing. There's a virtual tip jar. Fish. We'll play some music. And thanks, Ruth. Your younger self music was breathy. Oh, that's what you're saying. Yeah, I should play some of those old songs for you guys. They're pretty fun. This is Mary Hammock from Alabama. Okay. I'm still petitioning diggy. I actually got to hit some tennis balls with Andy Roddick when you were living. Did you really, George? Am I right? You play better when someone's better, right? Like it's amazing. And if somebody's a really good communicator, you talk better too, and you express it's really interesting. That's why they say surround yourself. The 5 people you have to spend the most time with is you're going to have a very similar experience, whether it's level of joy, money in the bank, like health. Your weight will be very similar to the people you spend the most time with. It's like that's why. And I've noticed when Ollie spent time around other kids, like that I didn't want him to, it really shifted who he was, like really dramatically. And then even Austin was around a little dude who was crying a lot, and then Austin just picked that up. So we are very much tribal beings. When did I start acting? In camp, Bible camp, in theater, in Bible camp, and then in church, and then a little bit in school, but I was a bit embarrassed because the high school, the same people that were in the theater were also the headbangers, and I was an athlete, so I hung out at the other door. I didn't want to go near the theater door, but I did, and I loved it. But then what I saw one weekend, I saw Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Purple Rain by Prince, and it changed my life, those two movies. And also seeing Chariots of Fire really inspired me, and the first Batman, I think, with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, really just blew my mind. And then I put myself in acting school at 16. As soon as I got my car, I started driving to acting school. But then volleyball scholarship happened and I was a marine biologist in college, just because I couldn't pick anything else to like, volleyball wasn't on the list of things you could pick for your class. So I don't know why. I was like, I like marine life. So I was a marine biologist. Ironic that I live right next to a very active marine area, and outside Austin and I are always looking. We're always in the sand looking for crabs and, you know, the odd crazy sea lion or dolphin, or just, you know, we'll wash up on the beach and we'll be like, whoa. Funny that I actually have that experience. Lindy said she'll be there at the Hollywood Bowl. I started acting then, 16. And then what's really interesting is when I got discovered for modeling was I was in college, and I quit volleyball immediately and moved to Toronto. And right away, even in Toronto, I did a commercial, and then in Paris, I did a bunch of commercials, and in Italy, I did commercials, and in Japan, I did commercials. And every time I was on film sets, I was beside myself with excitement. I was like, this is the coolest. And then I'd go back to a print set where they'd just take your picture, and I'd be like, oh, it's so boring compared to action. And then you'd like create something, lines and all that. So yeah, that's, I guess, so 16, what am I, 49. So it's 26, 36, 46. Yeah. It's like 30 years, 30 plus years, 33. Everything's 33 in my life at the moment, 36. But Norway's awesome. When did you become an actor? Yeah, the 16, so 30 years ago plus. Yeah, 33 years ago. Yeah, math. I was great at math too. Jeanette's been many places in Norway. She loved it. I think you get more done than I do. You losing track of time. This is Sue. Yeah, The One Thing. I like the book The One Thing. There's also a book called Essentialism, which is like do less but better. So just put all your energy on one thing. But like, I have 3 things I really enjoy doing. You know, music, acting, and then coaching. So I can't do one thing. I have to like choose a day and just like, on Mondays I do this, Tuesdays, and then I just repeat or something. I don't know. It's tricky. The music, though, there's a muse involved. You have to wait. Music, you can't just schedule. Okay, I'm going to write. There's a muse. If she shows up, you're writing songs and you're creative. But if you sit there with your guitar and she doesn't show up, it's a really interesting thing. And I call it muse, but it's definitely over the years been God in different ways for that. But I've learned that sometimes just sit down and I'll strum some chords and hum and start singing about the thing in the corner or thinking outside and thinking about what I'm seeing, and then there'll become a little hook, and then I'll go, oh, that's something. And I always have my recorder going, so I will catch little parts of songs, which is a fun way for me to write. You have such a great work, and you don't think so. Carol said, and there I was going to ask you how you manage your life with such a great work-life balance. I don't know. I just try to have as much fun as I can and bring as much love to things as I can. And I don't always succeed. I'm not always fun and I'm not always loving, that's for sure. But that's my default. My default is there's always a bit of a spark in my eye. Like I'm always looking for the next little adventure. And that's just been that way since I was a little boy. And here I was going to ask you, I wish to be making people smile by, treating people equal. That's right, Jennifer. The way it reads, like my wish would be making people bread is what it looked like. And I read closer, it's like people smile to be treated equally. I like that. I don't know how I got bread out of that. I did really enjoy making bread during the pandemic. I got pretty good at sourdough. I mean, pretty good, not great, but I enjoyed it. Okay, I wish I could continue to heal. I'd have more energy to travel. I wish you could continue to heal so you'd have more energy to travel. what is stopping you from healing, Sue? Put it in the chat down below. What's stopping you from healing? And unless it's too personal, then just leave that out. No more child illness. Child illness. Little boy passed away at age 6. Yeah, I know. Yeah, try to explain childhood, like infant leukemia, to someone, to an atheist. Try to explain that to an atheist. That's fun. My wish is that my grandkids have a wonderful life. That's right. One wish is hard. Yeah, right. One wish is hard. It's hard. 3 was hard. 3's harder than one wish. I think to see an end to terminal illness that's taken loved ones. Yeah, I mean, ending ALS would be a big wish of mine too. But understanding the root cause of all these terminal diseases is what I feel one of my life's missions is to help people identify like what's really causing this, rather than just taking medication to feel a little bit more numb. George says, if I had one wish, I wish I had become a tennis pro when you were younger, very active in tennis. Cool. And I got burned out by playing too much. You stop playing. Yeah. You hear that about people that just play, and they lose their fire. And then there's the ones that don't become pros, right? The ones that don't lose their fire just keep on going. Like I'm sure the Nadal. And you think about Steph Curry. He shoots, I think it's 1,000 jump shots a day, at least. Something like that. Maybe it's 500 a day. I think it's 1,000. And Kobe practiced 2 times more than most people. Most people practice once, and he always practiced 3 times a day. So 5 in the morning, midday, and then an evening shooting thing. And I guess that's just what separates certain people, is they have really great mentors and coaches, and they have that work ethic where they're going to outwork people by 2 or 3 times. And those people leave a bit of a legacy, I guess. But experiencing mastery of anything, like when I spend a lot of time on my guitar, just the freedom that comes with commitment. And I used to be afraid of commitment in relationships, but not so much with music or yoga or even acting. Like the more I study my scripts, the more free I become. And the more strokes you would do at tennis, the better you would get, right, George? Just the more we have it backwards. We everything we want is outside of comfort. So like the more repetitions we do, it's a bit monotonous and boring, but man, oh man, if you're just willing to work, like the bar is so low. Do you know how many podcasts you have to do to be in the top 1%? 20. If you do 20 podcasts, you're in the top 1% of podcasters. That's people quit. People just don't have and so the bars to succeed is actually quite low. It's just a lot of people aren't willing. I think my mom just arrived. I think I hear my phone. Oh, it's my son Oliver. That means he's sold. Oh, I think I missed it. Hey, Ollie.
Hey.
You're on my podcast. Just so you know, you're live. How did it go today?
It went well. I broke the dry streak.
How many did you sell?
I sold 2 today.
You broke the streak. You just told my whole Patreon, and you also told the people listening to my podcast. But I wanted to pick up because it was you. How does that feel?
I featured on Grass is Greener right now.
My goal was to have Ollie on the Grass is Greener because I wanted to talk to him. Maybe we can still do it there on one of your Sundays. But yeah, you're on my Grass is Greener, buddy. Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
They're all waving. You're on Zoom as well as I'm going to broadcast this later, but I just wanted to pick up. I love you, buddy.
Yeah, I love you too. I'm all good. I just wanted to call you back.
You broke the streak. I love it. Are you still number 1 on that list or close?
No, in the past 2 days I got crushed. So.
Ooh, okay. Revenge, buddy. Revenge.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. Love you.
I love you too. Bye. I feel like when your mom or your son calls, kind of no matter what you're doing, you guys are, I think if I was interviewing somebody, I would let that go to voicemail. But in this situation, that's a joy of doing a solo episode like this. I'll just pick it up if it's my mom too, and you guys can talk to them. So Ollie's in Virginia going door to door. He's knocking 100 doors a day, and he went 2 days without selling. But the first week he sold 3 or 4 a day and was number 1 in the company for rookies, and he was like $2,000 ahead of the next rookie. And then he had 2 dry days, and today he broke his streak. But he was, when you get really successful at the beginning, that come down can be pretty intense. So rather than if you're bad, and then you slowly get a little better and then a little better. But he started off at like the number one rookie everywhere, selling door to door. So I'm so proud of him. Anyway, okay, I should take a break because it's 5:27. I want to go live at 5:30. But let's all take a stretch. I don't want you all to sit for the remainder of this. So I'm going to take myself off camera. I think unless there's one more question I missed here. Way to go, Ollie. Oh yeah, you guys are cheering Ollie on. Yeah, I'm so proud of him. I want to have him on here because he went through an addiction phase and I said, would you be willing to talk about your addiction and what it cost and how you got through it? And would you be open to that? And he's like, yeah. And I just, like, that's why I want to have my mom on here and him. It's like these timestamps of conversations that I know someday, hopefully I can look back at and just really reminisce and the experience of being present with the people that I really love. And I really love being a dad, I'll tell you that. So let me change, or just let me grab a drink. I'm going to pause all of this. And if I miss a question, I'll try to pick it up during the concert, just in between, because it's just to you guys. I am shooting this high quality, and I might at some point cut it up. And really, if there's a really good song that the audio is good, I'll release it as a single, or I might just take this thing and make it like the folks, especially the folks who aren't here, because we have a lot of people on Patreon, and there's you guys are here, but I can see your faces. There's 35 of you. That's really cool. Okay, so this is season 4 of the Grass is Greener. It's a new series of Q&A, and this one is done inside of my community. Every Friday it'll be a little bit different. Maybe we'll get a really great kind of approach to when we do what. But this is just to honor you all and to thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for supporting the podcast and also my music and all that. And one of the sponsors is Bioptimizers, which I've talked to you guys about. I actually wasn't going to do this, but here it is. I'm about to shoot a bunch of testimonials for this company, and this is the sleep one, the Sleep Bioptimizer Sleep Breakthrough. And they're such a cool company, the way that they take care of their influencers like no other company. So they're pretty much the only one that actually are worth to promote. And so I'm always not only promoting them because they're great, but they're also great to us. So I'll put a link down below where you guys can get a good night's sleep and get your magnesium up. But for now, this is mostly for the replay. But for now, I will just pause everything, and I'm going to stop my recording, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to kiss my son good night. And you guys take a stretch. Please don't stay seated. Go for a walk, grab your water, and I'll be right back to start the music part of this. Thanks for being here, you guys. Ladies and gentlemen.